Hello everyone and welcome back to Super Easy History. In this episode we're going to discuss a conflict between an imperial power and its former colony, the Second War of American Independence, the creatively named War of 1812. So as was covered previously on this channel during our two-part series on the American Revolution, which you can find with the links down below, in 1776, the United States of America declared her full and complete independence from Great Britain. But then Britain said no, and the two sides fought a bloody conflict until General Washington and his French allies defeated the British in the Battle of Yorktown and forced Britain to recognize American independence. So that was it, right? War's over, America is independent. Well, as you may have guessed from the title of this video, not exactly. The War of 1812, as historians have so aptly named it, began in June of, shockingly, 1812, and was fought until February 1815. There were a variety of reasons for the war, but one of the largest was American anger at Britain after they began seizing sailors from American ships and putting them to work in the Royal Navy, claiming that the men were British deserters. America claimed that the sailors were, well, American, and saw the British policy known as impressment as a gross violation of American sovereignty. Many in America also saw their northern neighbour, Canada, as in need of liberation from Britain, and sought to expand into land inhabited by British-supported Native Americans. It should be noted, though, that not all Americans were in favour of the war. Many of them, especially in the trade-centred Northeast and members of the Federalist Party in Congress, argued instead for closer economic ties with Britain. Regardless of this, President James Madison signed the American Declaration of War into effect on the 18th of June 1812 after it was passed by Congress the day before. He believed that the small American army, along with state militias, would be able to quickly seize Canada, and that the British, who were distracted fighting Napoleon in mainland Europe, would quickly sue for peace. So in August, American troops under the command of William Hull launched an invasion of Upper Canada, expecting to meet little resistance. Hull declared to the Canadians that by fighting with him against Britain, they would gain freedom, liberty, and economic prosperity. The Canadians responded, "Nah, we're good," and quickly drove Hull's forces from their country. Elsewhere, many American militias refused to fight outside of their home states, or fought poorly after having been forced to do so. But at least the American Navy, a key tool for a country that aimed to protect its sailors at sea, was doing okay, right? What's that? It numbered only 16 ships at the beginning of the war, while Britain's fleet was the largest and most powerful in the world? Oh. Oops. In all seriousness, the Americans did win a few naval victories. Most notably, as US troops failed to invade Canada, the USS Constitution defeated the HMS Guerriere, earning the nickname Old Ironsides after cannonballs reportedly bounced off of her hull. Despite Britain's naval supremacy, they did halt the impressment of American sailors in 1814. However, this change in policy had very little to do with the American Navy. Instead, it came about as Britain no longer needed thousands of additional sailors after Napoleon's defeat. Napoleon's defeat was hardly good news for the Americans, though. With that threat gone, Britain was able to dedicate more ships to America and had declared a complete blockade of the American coastline by the end of May 1814. British troops could then carry out seaborne raids against the Americans, even managing to seize the American capital, Washington, D.C., in August 1814, burning the White House and forcing President Madison to flee the city. America was now willing to make peace. The Treaty of Ghent was signed between the United Kingdom and the United States on Christmas Eve 1814. Despite this, the Battle of New Orleans took place after the signing in January of 1815, as the news of peace had yet to reach the troops of either side. Major General Andrew Jackson, who commanded the Americans, later used the fame of this battle as a stepping stone to the American presidency. Congress ratified the Treaty of Ghent on the 17th of February 1815, ending the war with no territorial changes in regards to Britain or the United States. The War of 1812 was not entirely pointless, though. For Native Americans, the war had substantial and negative consequences. It confirmed that the US would dominate North America rather than the relatively tolerant British. In the decades after the war, natives would be killed in territorial disputes and continued to be forced onto smaller and smaller reservations, having no other choice if they wished to preserve their ways of life. For the United States, though, they had proven that the revolution wasn't a fluke. The US may not have decisively beaten Britain, did not annex Canada, but it did confirm that the United States had a right to exist as a sovereign nation, and the American people certainly felt as if they had won a great victory. Thank you for watching Super Easy History, the War of 1812. If you enjoyed this video and want to suggest a future topic, leave a comment down below and it just might be the next Super Easy History video. Also, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss any future Super Easy History content.